Hi everyone, welcome to tonight's Facebook and Instagram Live. I'm Christine Daal with Fashion Ninja Warrior, and tonight is episode number 74. We are doing a live Q&A. We try to do these live Q&As once a month so that I can give all of you an option to ask your questions and get answers. So start typing in your questions now. We've got a lot of questions to cover. We're going to talk about things like how to compare factories, how to name your line, whether to pay to be in a magazine, where to source ethical silk, and so much more. So hope you are ready. Get your pen and paper out. I'm going to be sharing some amazing tips with you. Don't forget to share this video. If you're on Instagram, tag someone. If you're on Facebook, you can share this video. Just note that people cannot watch it unless they're actually part of the group. So share it and just let them know, hey, join the group in order to watch it. And that's a great way to help me grow the group as well. So thank you so much. Don't forget to give me your hearts, give me your thumbs up. I love it. It's like oxygen to me. I need it, guys. Hey, Andrea. Hey, Rakina. So nice to see so many of you on. Hey, Alsamar. How are you? So if you're on Instagram Live, this will be recorded for 24 hours. It will stay up in our stories. Otherwise, you can go and head over to our Fearless Fashionpreneur Facebook group. There's a link in my bio. And watch all 74 episodes. That's literally over 36 hours worth of free information inside our Fearless Fashionpreneur Facebook group. Hi, Sharona. Hi, Candy. Awesome. All right, so let's get started with the questions, guys, because I don't have a lot of time tonight. Hi, I am Brittany Jackson. Thanks so much for joining. Okay, so question number 1 comes from Duchess. And Duchess, I hope that you're on because I'm going to need a little bit of Q&A back and forth with you here. Can I have some advice on what percentage to take if I license my designs to another company to manufacture to sell? So typical licensing deals, just so that you guys know, range anywhere from 2 to 7%. So it is really small amount of money that you're going to make on a licensing deal. Now, I have a question for you, Duchess, and I don't know if you're on. Hey, Flex and Fly, how are you? I don't know if you mean licensing your designs as in artwork or the name of your brand. Typically, designers don't license styles or bodies because it's so easy to copy them, right? So you're probably not going to be able to license that. Licensing usually comes into play with things like if you're working with school teams or NFL teams or sorority names, right? You're going to have to license that name from the sorority in order to put it on your product. I used to be a designer for a Halloween costume company. I know, it's so bizarre, right? So random. But we made Halloween costumes, and some of the costumes we had the license for and some of them we did not. So we would constantly do things like Game of Thrones type costumes, but we couldn't actually call it Game of Thrones. We had to come up with all these little different names for them because we didn't actually own the license. And my boss was an idiot, in my opinion. And hopefully she's not listening. And doesn't matter anyway. And she would try to get away with it. And she would always get these cease and desist letters from all of these companies because she constantly was trying to not have to purchase the license. So that's usually how licensing works. So Duchess, not sure. I don't think you're on right now. Hopefully you're listening to the replay, but just type in the comments there and let me know if this covers what you're asking. So hopefully I answered it for you. Okay. Hey, Eileen, how are you? Okay. So Kimberly Walton wants to know suggestions on the best way to compare different production factories. And Kimberly, I hope that you're watching as well. So yes, the best way to do this is honestly work with a consultant. I'm not just saying that because I'm a consultant, but honestly, this is really the only way to really compare factories, guys. If you haven't worked with these factories, you don't know what they're capable of, you don't know what their quality is like, you don't know if they're going to deliver on time, you don't know who's fast, who's slow, you know, what products they're good at making, what products they're not good at making. Yes, you can ask them a ton of questions, and I recommend doing that. And we have a sourcing and manufacturer cheat sheet that we give all of our clients and students. But really, when it comes down to it at the end of the day, this is why people hire me. This is why people work with us, because we have relationships with these factories. We know who's good and who's not good. I have a factory that I work with that does amazing activewear, but their pattern maker, not so good. So I don't make any patterns with them. I only do production with them, right? You're not going to know that until you actually use them, or if you're working with a consultant like me, right? So this is why people hire us. This is why people come on our manufacturing tours. We've got 2 amazing tours coming up. We've got an LA tour July 19th, and we've got our New York City tour July 26th. Guys, these tours are already 50% sold out. They always sell out and we don't do them often. So we're actually cutting back on the number of times we're doing these tours, which is why they sell out really fast. So head on over to our website, go to our Eventbrite page, and you can purchase those tickets. There's links in bios for all of that. I put the link on Facebook as well there. But this is why people work with us. And honestly, we get a lot of our clients, we get their manufacturing price down drastically. I just had one client, we cut her manufacturing price in half. Now, she paid me, granted, she paid us, I don't know, a couple $100 to source manufacturers and negotiate pricing, but then we got her price cut down in half. So was it worth the couple $100 that she spent to then save a couple of $100 per unit that she was actually producing? Yes. So this is why people hire us, guys. Yes, you're going to pay money up front to hire us, but then we're going to save you so much money in the long run, okay? Hey, Daniela, how are you? So yes, exactly. That's all you have to pay. It's not super, super pricey, guys, okay? So we're super affordable. All right, so next question comes from Candy. And if you guys have questions, start typing them in now and I'll get to your questions at the end, okay? Candy, do you have any advice on naming a fashion business? I currently have a problem where someone who buys domains waits for someone who needs them and bought my business domain. They want very unrealistic numbers, 6 figures for a domain. I'm considering changing my name, but I don't want to. I haven't officially registered yet. Please let me know your thoughts. Okay, so Candy, we kind of already talked about this a little bit in the Facebook group, and I think you're watching right now. So first of all, I do recommend that you speak to our trademark attorney, Lori Marshall. We did a Facebook Live interview with her. It's episode number 45. You can literally hop back on over to our Fearless Fashionpreneur Facebook group and watch the episode there. You can contact Lori. She is super affordable, super nice, and she can help you with all of that stuff. In the meantime, I recommend changing your name. It's not worth it, guys. If somebody has your name or they're trying to sell you a domain for hundreds of thousands of dollars, just drop it. There are so many things you can use. There are so many names out there. It's not worth the legal battle. It's not worth the headache. You just need to get your product made and sell it, right? Don't get so hung up on the name, okay? So change the name. It's not really worth it. Also, my advice, don't use your own name unless you're doing a designer level type of product. And if you want some really good tools, there's a website called bustaname.com. Literally, that's the name of it, where you can enter your keywords and they will come up with a ton of different name options for you. And they'll tell you if the domain is available. So that might be good for you, Candy, since you're worried about getting the domain name. And if you need help coming up with a name and Bust a Name is not good enough for you, do a name contest. I love doing logo contests, name contests, because you're basically paying a ton of people to come up with a name for you, and then you only pay for the one that you like at the end of the day. So Squad Help is a really good website for that. So if you're taking notes, hopefully you jotted those 2 down. Okay, next question comes from Denise. I hope that helped, Candy. Let me know in the comments. Give me a heart. Give me a thumbs up. Hopefully that was helpful for you. Hi, Dominance by Dominique. Hey, Kel Dash. Thanks for joining. Type in your questions. We're doing a live Q&A. You can ask me anything that you want. Okay, Candy, awesome. Okay, so Denise has a question. I just got this email. I don't know if it's appropriate to pay for your pieces to be featured in a magazine, or is this a hoax? So this is what the email basically said. Denise actually forwarded this to me. She's in our FSI group, so I do a lot of stuff with her. So Denise, this is the question. This is the email that she sent over to me. I wanted to get in touch. I work with Condé Nast Traveler magazine. Thought you would be absolutely perfect for our premium summer autumn 19 luxury advertorial campaign titled Just in Case. These pages will showcase a handpicked selection of luxury fashion, accessories, and travel essentials, perfect for our readers. I can send across further information, including rates and deadlines, with space available from as little as $325 per issue. It's a fantastic time to be involved with Condé Nast Traveler. So, for all of you wondering, there are 2 different ways that you can typically get your stuff into a magazine. And actually, we just helped one of our clients. He just literally got his stuff pulled for both Italian Vogue and L'Officiel, 2 of the top fashion magazines. I'm super, super excited to see his stuff when it comes out. Literally, we helped him get his stuff into those magazines. So there's 2 different ways you can get your stuff into magazines. You can pay for advertising space, or you can have a fashion stylist or editor pull your pieces for an editorial shoot. So when I used to work for a prom company, I was the head designer of a prom company, we would pay on average around $35,000 a year for 2 to 3 ads to be placed in magazines. Okay, so you've seen Teen Prom, all these L Prom magazines, right? We would literally pay $35,000 to have advertising space in those magazines, okay? So when you open up a W or L or any of these fashion magazines, you're always gonna see ads, and then you're always gonna see editorial shoots that are using products from different designers. So typically speaking, if you're paying for ad space, they are more likely to pull your product, right? So Gucci, Chanel, Prada, right? Those are constantly featured in all of the editorials because those are the companies that are paying for the ads as well, right? So they're gonna obviously favor the people that are paying them first. But then of course there's ways, and we can teach you these ways, and we can introduce you to partners so that you can have specific stylists pull your stuff for these types of magazines as well. Okay, and so because we were paying for these ads for this prom company that I worked for, we were also constantly featured in all of the editorials, which was wonderful. But the minute we stopped paying, the minute we were also stopped being featured in the editorials. So that's typically how it works. Now, this specific email said the word advertorial. And if you look up the definition of advertorial, it literally is a newspaper or magazine advertisement giving information about a product in a style of an editorial or objective journalistic article. So basically it's a fancy way of saying we want you to pay us to advertise your product, but we're not going to do a traditional advertisement. We're going to do an advertorial to make it look more authentic. Basically, it's the same thing as an advertisement. So Denise, I do not think it's a hoax. I do think they want you to pay. And I'm honestly not surprised. Magazines are hurting these days, guys. Everything's online now. Everything's digital. A lot less people are getting magazines. People are going eco-friendly. They don't want to do the paper thing, right? So I'm not surprised that they want you to pay. But the price is super affordable, so it might be worth it for you. And it's a pretty good magazine, Condé Nast Traveler. So it might be worth it for you. So I don't think it's a hoax. And I would honestly consider doing it, Denise. So hopefully that helped you. Okay. Doreen wants to know. Doreen, are you on? I hope that you're on. Yes, I see you. You're on, Doreen. Okay, cool. Doreen, does anyone actually work on the weekends or just during the week? If so, is there a time frame you allow for yourself, or do you just work on whatever needs to be done with no time frame? So actually, I want to really open this up to everybody that's on right now. We've got a lot of people on watching. Answer Doreen. Do you guys work on the weekends? Do you don't work on the weekends? I think this is more of like a balance type question, like how do you balance work-life balance, work-personal balance, right? Chime in, because I want to hear from you guys what you think and what you typically do. Do you take off on the weekends? Do you have a specific day of the week that you take off? Those of you who are working full-time in your business, definitely chime in. We'd love to know. Those of you who have a full-time job and you're doing your business on the side, obviously you're not taking any time off because you're hustling to try to get that side gig, your full-time gig, so that you can leave your full-time job, right? That should be the correct thing. Victor says Saturday mornings is a must. Okay. Daniela, yes, I do work on the weekend depending on what I need to accomplish. Okay. So for me personally, I try to take one day off a week. Now, when I say one day, that 24-hour period doesn't always happen all at once. So preferably it would be on Sundays. That's when I go to church. That's when I spend a lot of time with my family. But that doesn't always happen. So sometimes I'll take off like half a day on Saturday and then half a day on Sunday, like Sunday morning to go to church and do all that stuff. I like to go to the gym, that sort of thing. Kel Dash says, yes, absolutely necessary in the beginning. And I have a full-time job. Yes. Okay. So you are hustling to make your side gig your real full-time gig. Okay, cool. Pierre says no time off. Okay, Pierre is going all out. He is hustling. He is not wasting any time. Okay. Anyone else want to chime in? Maybe this would be a good topic of the next Facebook Live that we do. Do you guys want to hear about like balance? Do you want to hear about work-life balance? Bronson says, we have full-time day jobs, so weekends are more prepping and getting everything ready. So people we need to contact have an email waiting for Monday morning. Yes, I love that strategy. I do a lot of that Sunday nights. I will send, or draft, I should say, a ton of emails and then send them out Monday mornings. so that I get everyone first thing Monday morning. That's a really good strategy. Gabrielle says, in the startup phase, but Sunday is off for me. Love it. Okay, so she is prioritizing no work on Sundays. All right, guys, that's awesome. Let me know if you want to hear about this topic more. If you guys want me to do like a work-life balance topic. I'm also a new mom, so we can do like a mommypreneur balance. People are always asking me how I run a business and be a mom at the same time. So it is hard. It is a struggle. But we can do a Facebook Live on that if that's something that you guys want. Doreen says yes, of course. Decision made, evenings after work, as well as Sundays, no work on Saturdays. Okay, cool. Awesome. Thanks, guys, for chiming in. I really appreciate it. Okay, so Doreen, I hope that helped. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a heart. Let me know. Is that good? Okay. Next question comes from Rakina, and I'm going to answer all the questions that came in first, guys, and any other questions that come in, I'll try to find some time. Hopefully we have time at the end. Otherwise, I'll answer them on the next Q&A, okay? Mommy guilt is real. Yes, it totally is, and we can totally talk about that. Okay. Rakina wants to know, how do I find vendors that are not on Fashion Go, Orange Shine, LA Showroom, etc.? New York vendors specifically, is there a specific way to search for them? Rakina, I think you're on. I think I saw you. Give me a shout out if you're on. I know exactly what you're talking about. You're talking about wholesale vendors. And the best way to find them is to come on our retail wholesale showroom tour. We did our first one ever in May. It was awesome. We literally take you to a lot of the wholesale vendors in New York City. I'm also possibly thinking about doing an LA version of that tour. So if you guys are interested out in LA, that's possibly something that we could do. Let me know. Give me your heart. Say yes, LA in the comments so that I know. We will probably do another one in the fall. So that's a possibility. We typically don't give out our contacts or resources other than to our clients and our students. However, I will give you one really good tip. Modalist is a really great website. So if you haven't heard of Modalist, I think it's modalist.co. They're a really great site to find wholesale vendors. All right. So that's a good tip for you. Hopefully you got it. And definitely come on the retail showroom tour. Yes, you need the New York one. Awesome. PR wants to come on both. Cool. Desi says yes, LA. Awesome. Okay, so you guys are interested in the LA one too. Okay, so maybe we can arrange that. Okay, cool. Rakina is good with LA. You just need New York. All right, so you need to come on the New York one then. Okay, awesome. Candy wants to know how to source ethically produced silk and silk alternatives. I don't know if there's any mills in the US, so it's hard to know if it's being ethically made. Also, it's for small production runs. Okay, Candy, so I'm glad that you mentioned that it's for small production runs. That's very important. Also understand, guys, when you're looking for organic textiles, ethically made textiles, sustainable textiles, fair trade textiles, right? All of these words are kind of being thrown out nowadays. And there's different levels that you can take things, right? Some people think, all right, I'm going to use silk because it's natural fiber, right? It's not a man-made fiber. However, keep in mind the silkworms are typically killed in the process of making silk. So does that mean it's ethical? Does that mean it's not ethical, right? So then you can go a step further and you can say, well, I only want to use silk where the silkworms are not killed, which that is a thing that you can get. There is a way that the moths can kind of leave the cocoon before they actually boil them. This gets really like tricky, right? So you have to decide first off, like how far down are you going to go in the sustainable, ethically made, organic process to find this type of silk, right? And then there's people that are claiming, oh, we're using wild silkworms. These are silkworms that are not farmed. They're kind of in their natural habitat. Then there's things like spider silk, which is like a new thing. It's not made from spiders. It's actually man-made, but it's made to look like silk. So you really have to figure out and do your research first, what it is that you're looking for specifically. But a couple of contacts, and again, I typically don't give out contacts, so you guys are super, super lucky right now. A couple of contacts that you can try is Silk Road Textiles. They are a retailer, not a wholesaler, but knowing that you're doing only small quantities, you might want to go that route to start with. And then another really good one is the Organic Textile Company. So it's organiccotton.biz, B-I-Z is the website. It's the Organic Textile Company. don't just sell cotton. They actually do have silk as well and lots of other fibers. So check those out, Candy, and hopefully that helps. Yes, my biggest concern is people working in the factories, but also the other issues mentioned. Okay, Candy, yes. So you should also look into things like the New York City Fair Trade Coalition. Get involved with, like, there's tons of sustainability summits that happen in both New York City and LA. There's a lot of great organizations that are geared around fair trade and things being ethically produced and all of that stuff. Even Fashion Revolution. Are you guys familiar with Fashion Revolution? They're a really great nonprofit organization as well that you can get a hold of. Rakina, yes, organic textile company. Also, I think you were asking me how to spell the other company that I gave you, the other website. It's Modalist. So it's Modalist, modalist.co. Okay, hopefully that helped you. Okay, running through the questions. Okay, so Liz wants to know, we're thinking if we pay influencers to advertise us, we would prefer not to give them our bags. So they are a handbag company. Has this happened before where a new line like us will ship them a bag and ask them to return it? What are your thoughts on that? I don't want to upset anyone if we ask for the bag back. So if you're paying influencers, guys, you don't necessarily have to also give them product. A lot of influencers just want product. A lot of them want product and payment. And some of them are fine with just payment. So you don't necessarily always have to give them your product. So I advise, if you're doing like a really high-end bag or something and you're like, hey, I really can't afford to be giving out all these bags, let alone the production of these bags, right? Just let them know, hey, we've only got a couple of samples. We're just getting started. We haven't done our full production run yet. Would you mind if we just paid you whatever the payment is and you can ship the bag back to us? Now, just make sure that you give them your shipping account number, whether it's FedEx or UPS, whatever method you want to use, so that they don't have to pay for the shipping, right? So you want to make it as easy as possible for them to ship the bag back to you. And just do your research ahead of time. Make sure that you're using legit people. Get references of other companies and brands that they've worked for, so that you're not like just shipping your bag out and then never getting it back, right? So you just want to make sure that you're using reputable influencers. Cool? Okay, cool. All right, Aisha wants to know, hey, Aisha, are you on? Hopefully you're on, girl. How do you narrow down the number of pieces to have in your first clothing line? I love this question. Okay, so based on a lot of things. So number one, I usually tell people it's based on your budget. So you can prepare on average to spend $1,000 per style for product development. Product development in the US is not cheap, guys. You're paying for labor. We have minimum wage laws. We don't pay people $2 a day like overseas, okay? So because of that, you're paying people a minimum wage, and depending on where you're producing, that minimum wage can range greatly. It is, I think, around $7 an hour in some cities in Texas, and then in LA it's up to 15, and I think they're talking about raising it to 18 an hour, I believe. So it can really range greatly. So you have to just keep in mind that yes, you are paying people and it's a lot of labor, okay? Making something is a lot of labor. So on average, and again, this is an average, it doesn't always have to be $1,000, but I tell people for your pattern, for your sample, for revisions, for a fitting, to do a second fitting, to buy your fabric, right? All of that combined for one style could easily equal $1,000. So it might be based on your budget. If you don't got a huge budget, you're not going to be able to produce a lot of styles, right? It could also be based on the category that you're doing. If you're doing, let's say, handbags, right? You might not need to produce a lot of styles, right? You might have a tote bag, you might have a crossbody, and then maybe you have a clutch. And that's the collection to start out with, right? 3 different styles. You're making bags. You don't have to make a bazillion different styles, right? If you were doing a sportswear line and you were like, hey, I'm doing a full-blown sportswear collection, tops, bottoms, jackets, dresses, right? Then you probably need to have a little bit more than 3 pieces in the line. You're probably going to want to have maybe 10 pieces in the line. So your product category definitely matters. Also, the number of different fabrics that you want to use. I have a lot of designers that go fabric sourcing and they pick all these different fabrics and they've got 10 different fabrics that they fall in love with. And they're like, I want to use all of these. My general recommendation is for every fabric that you have, I'm not talking about colorways, but just every fabric, every type of fabric, you need to use that at least 2 to 3 times in the line. So if you've got 3 or 4 fabrics, you could easily have a 6 to 8 piece collection just based on those 3 or 4 fabrics, right? If you're telling me you have 10 fabrics, you're gonna need at least 20 pieces in the line to be able to utilize probably all of those fabrics in at least 2 or 3 styles, right? So it can also depend on the number of fabrics that you want to use in the line. So don't go crazy picking all these fabrics. Keep it really narrow, keep it really small, and keep in mind that you can always use different colors or different prints of the same fabric to make the line look really cohesive and make everything really stand out, okay? Hey, Chris Barretto, how are you? Thanks so much for joining. Hey, Inez. Hi, Ricky Sample Official. Thanks for joining. If you guys have questions, type them in. We are running out of time, but I will promise to answer all of your questions on the next Facebook Live if we don't get to all of them. Okay, Rakina has one other question. I heard it's pretty difficult entering the fashion district in New York. Is there any truth to that? Where is the fashion district in New York located, or is it spread out? Okay, so Rakina, I already asked you this question. Are you talking about physically entering the garment district? And you answered me yes. And so no, the garment district is not physically hard to enter. It is open to the public essentially. But people go to the garment district and think that it's all the ground floor stores, all the stores that are on the ground level. And that's only like a very, very small portion of it. And that's usually typically all the retail stores. So all the wholesalers and all the manufacturers in the garment district are up inside the buildings, right? They're higher up in the different floors. And so if you don't know where they're located, and trust me, there's no signage going on. People have very, very horrible signage in New York City, and people are always moving constantly too because rent is crazy. It's very difficult to find them. And so again, this is why we do our New York City fashion manufacturing tours, because we take you to our preferred vendors and suppliers and teach you along the way how to basically develop your line from sketch all the way through to a final garment. But physically speaking, where is it located? It is 1 square mile radius pretty much. It starts at 34th Street all the way up to 40th Street and from 5th Avenue over to 9th Avenue. So it's about a 1 square mile radius. It used to be a lot larger. It is shrinking drastically. And unfortunately, a lot of the companies are being pushed out. A lot of retailers and a lot of coffee shops and a lot of hotels, especially the hotels, are trying to move into that area because it's so close to Times Square. So it's kind of that like Midtown West, right outside Port Authority, below Times Square, between Times Square and Penn Station pretty much. And so it's keen real estate for hotels because people are obviously using those modes of transportation to come into the city, and they always need a place to stay. And so hotels are taking over like crazy. So there's talks that people are moving to Sunset Brooklyn, and that's going to be the new fashion district. I don't agree with that. Another reason why we do the manufacturing tours to help bring more business into the garment district so that these businesses can survive and thrive and they don't have to be shut down. So there's places being shut down all the time, which is crazy. So I hope that answers your question, and I hope that you can make it, yes, on the next New York City tour. It's going to be July 26th. After that, we won't have one probably until January, so definitely try to make it on that one. Yes, Victor says, very true. The real players are upstairs. All right, guys, so we've got maybe 1 minute for questions. I'm going to try and see here whose questions I can answer. Fiandra Pick. I am totally butchering your name. I apologize. Can you tell us about how to get your ideas to production? That's a very in-depth question. I cannot answer that in 5 minutes or less. And if you really have that question, I would suggest coming on our manufacturing tour because that's where we really teach you how to get your idea all the way through to production. Let's see if there's any other questions on Instagram, and then I'll go to Facebook. Okay, cool. So let's go to Facebook. I've got about 2 minutes and then I've got to go, guys, but I promise I will answer all your questions on the next one too. Victor, what are your thoughts on Facebook ads, Instagram ads? Is it worth the ad spend? Okay, great question, Victor. I'm so glad you asked this question. So Facebook ad prices are rising and it's getting really difficult to compete. I now recommend doing Instagram ads and specifically Instagram story ads. And we're partnered with a couple of different digital marketing agencies that can do all of this for you. Their prices are great. They're super affordable. They're not in the thousands per month range, which a lot of these companies are out there. They are super affordable. They're geared towards working with startups. And so yes, I do typically recommend Instagram over Facebook, especially for fashion brands. And Instagram story ads specifically are really, really popular and not as saturated as Facebook is right now. Great question. Daniela has a question. I reserved another IG account named Jack's Odyssey Official, so no one else takes it. If my line starts growing more, should I consider having that as my clothing line account? Then keep the Jack's Odyssey as an influencer and also showcase my design. So we've talked about this several times, Daniela. Daniela is a client of mine. She's awesome. We worked together and we grew her following from 2,000 to 22,000, and she's up to 24,000, I believe now, on Instagram in less than a year, which is crazy. And actually she's an awesome influencer. So anybody that's looking for influencers to rep your brand, you can reach out to her. She's super cute and fun and awesome. This is always like a catch-22, right? You kind of want a separate brand for your line, but then you want a separate brand for your personal stuff. Should you keep them separate? Should you have them together? I know for you, like you started out with Jack's Odyssey, which is technically your business name, but now you've kind of built it up as an influencer brand, right? I think it's a great idea that you got the brand name Jack's Odyssey Official. I think you should have that as kind of just a landing page, meaning you're not actively growing it, and then tell everyone, hey, the party's happening over here on Jack's Odyssey, and just keep driving the traffic over to Jack's Odyssey. So put a couple things on the official page, right? Have your product, all that kind of stuff on there. Have the website, right? But then also say, hey, party's happening over here on the Jack's Odyssey page. And that's going to be the main account that you continue to grow and use as your influencer / brand page. Does that make sense? Hopefully that helps. Okay, let's see if I can answer one more question. Okay, Cassie wants to know. Cassie wants to know. Hi, Christine. Where do you find a good sales rep and what's the typical split? So sales reps are difficult to find. They're not easy to find. We have some sales reps that we work with, but there's so many different sales reps and so many different types of product. So it really depends on the type of product, the category, the price point, the area, etc. Do you want a sales rep that works with a showroom? Do you want a sales rep that has connections to trade shows? Do you want a sales rep that has distribution connections? There's so many different kinds, but I will tell you that the typical split is they will require, typically for new brands, around 12 to 15% can be the typical amount that they want commission. If you are a well-established brand, they might be able to get down a little bit more, like 7 to 10%. If you're doing accessories, they might even go as high as 20%. So that's what you can expect. And then also keep in mind, if you're a brand new line, you don't have a lot of wholesale sales or boutiques that are carrying your stuff, they're probably going to want a down payment. And I hate it when sales reps do this. I get it on their end. They're like, hey, we have no guarantee that your stuff's going to sell, so we kind of need our money up front. But on your end, you don't really want to give them the money up front because then they're not going to be motivated to sell for you, right? So it's kind of a catch-22. I usually say, how bad do you want the sales rep? How good are their connections? Do they have connections to the boutiques and everything that you want to be in? Maybe it's worth it for you. Maybe it's not worth it for you, right? So we can kind of talk about that and see what would be the best strategy for you. All right, guys, so I do have to run. I know there were a couple other questions that came in on Facebook. I promise I will answer them on the next Q&A. Stay tuned. Next week, we are going to do our first ever case study. So we're going to start doing these case studies where we examine existing successful fashion brands and we dissect them and we tell you why we think they're successful and what you can take away from it so that you can utilize the same things that they're doing so that your business is also successful. So next week, tune in Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, if you're interested in coming on any of our tours, we have our LA Manufacturing Tour July 19th. We have our New York City Manufacturing Tour July 26th. So definitely come on one of our manufacturing tours. They are already over 50% sold out. These tours are crazy. We give you over 25 different worksheets, templates, things like a tech pack template, cutting ticket template, a production ready checklist, a fabric sourcing guide. There are so many cheat sheets in these classes, in these tours. And then we also give you our preferred vendor list, which has over 90 of our preferred vendors and suppliers domestically and overseas, LA, New York City, Miami, all over the country, as well as overseas. And so you have all those contacts. People literally come on these tours just for the contact list, guys. And we don't sell the contact list separately. People ask me all the time. We do not sell it separately, guys. It is reserved for tour attendees, our FSI students, our Fashion Startup Intensive students, and also our one-on-one coaching clients only. So this is why people pay us. This is why people hire us. I've built up these connections over the 15 years of my career, and they're worth something. So that's why we reserve them for our clients and students. All right, guys, hope to see you on one of the tours, and I'll see you next week on our Facebook Live, same time, same place. All right, have a great night. Talk to you soon. Bye.